All right, so we're going to start again today with a service map, and I was hoping to have a little better news. But the B tree area, I think I mentioned a couple of days ago that that line has required backfilling and stabilization. The line's intact, but it required some backfilling and stabilization before we could pressurize it. Backfilling, stabilization was done, it was pressurized, and there's a leak somewhere that our staff is trying to find. So no exact timetable for the 40 homes or so that water line serves. Staff have been on site since very early this morning. Our leak detection crews have been there trying to find out what the issue is. Little better news on Eastmore. Yesterday, contractors were able to clear the newly shaped Swananoa River of a pretty good amount of debris and get one connection of the temporary water line that they're putting in there made. Again, that temporary water line is going to be 2 inches in diameter, and it will provide basically flushing water to the 75 homes or so in that area, not much else. They hope to make the second connection of the temporary line today and start pushing water to those residents sometime this evening or tonight. And I would like to remind residents in the lower portions of that neighborhood to, once you sort of perform some basic sanitation needs with your water, to conserve as much as possible so we can get that water up the hill to your neighbors. Also, I do want to mention, I read a really good article in the Asheville Citizen Times about the Eastmore neighborhood. 17-year-old Carson Stubbs, shortly after the storm, created a system using pulleys and buckets to pull water out of the Swananoa River so his neighbors can have flushable water, which is an outstanding example of mountain ingenuity and community service. So good on you, Carson. All right, next. All right, so this is the beginning of the treatment process at North Fork Reservoir using the aluminum sulfate and the caustic soda. I know the boat is underwhelming, but it got the job done. All of the treatment that you see in those big totes there has been put into the reservoir. Our plan now is to wait a couple of days to see how effective the initial round was before we decide on a second round of treatment. Do want to note that, yes, the guy who's about to get in that boat is wearing a hazmat suit. There's a good reason for that. The caustic soda can irritate your skin upon direct contact. And again, that's a treatment, or that's a chemical that we use in our normal treatment process. Anyway, again, like aluminum sulfate, caustic soda is water soluble, so it's going to dissolve before it, obviously enters our water lines. So this is a video one of our North Fork operators sent in the middle of the first round of treatment. If you look closely, you can see that coagulation process just starting to happen. Now, obviously, it's got to happen on a tremendous scale to clear the water in that reservoir from the top down. But you can see here sort of what that process at the very beginning, at least, is going to look like. See those very tiny particles sort of gravitating toward one another, where before the treatment, because of the electrical charge they carry, they were basically pushing out from each other. And so that's a positive sign. And again, we don't have an accurate timeline on how much this treatment or how long this treatment process will take. We obviously wanted it to happen very, very quickly. I think we know enough now to realize that it won't. It's going to be a long process. How long that is, I'd love to be able to tell you, but I just can't. So going back to the map here, I'm going to make a couple of points. We understand, we've gotten service to 90-ish% of our system, probably pushing 95 by now. We understand that there are still pockets that don't have service. We understand that that's frustrating for the residents. It's frustrating for us too. Assure you we're doing everything we can to fill out those last few areas and bring service to everybody as soon as possible. We also understand that the water flowing through our distribution system does not represent a perfect solution. We would much rather be delivering our normally pristine water to 100% of our customers. And I can assure you that we're doing everything humanly possible to reach that point. Couple of areas that are still out, obviously the elevated areas. I know Reynolds Mountain is out. I know some of the western edge of our system in Inca Candler, some of the elevated areas are out. And again, that is simply a function of the laws of physics. It takes more water pressure to push water up a mountain than it does along a flat stretch of ground. So I kind of have a brief update today, and I know you guys will have some questions afterward, but for right now, I'm going to turn it over to Mark Matheny from Development Services.